Hi, I'm Dan Perlman, Solution Architect here at Surf7, and I'm excited to introduce our special guest today, Grace Kunjumon. Thanks for joining us, Grace.
Thank you for having me, Dan.
Grace is a Solution Architect at AWS. She brings with her a wealth of knowledge on a set of topics we get asked about constantly: infrastructure and security. Grace will be diving deep into how AWS tackles those crucial infrastructure and security requirements for services like Amazon Connect, ensuring you can build with confidence. Now, Grace, when customers think about moving their contact center to the cloud, a big concern is always, what if something goes wrong? What about downtime? How does AWS build its infrastructure to be robust and resilient right from the ground up to address these fears?
That's a critical concern I hear often from organizations considering the cloud contact center. So let me explain how AWS approaches this from the foundation up. At its core, AWS has built Amazon Connect with a distributed architecture that spans multiple availability zones within each region. So what's a region and an availability zone, you may ask? A region is a geographical location where we logically group a cluster of availability zones. For example, in Canada, AWS has two regions, Canada Central and Canada West, or the Calgary region. And an availability zone is a group of one or more discrete data centers, each with redundant power, networking, and connectivity in an AWS region. So what's particularly impressive is how AWS has implemented redundancy at every layer. For instance, when a customer contacts your contact center, the call isn't tied to a single piece of infrastructure. Instead, it is distributed across multiple availability zones, automatically failing over if needed. It happens so smoothly that neither the agent nor the customer typically notice any disruption. Additionally, Amazon Connect is a fully managed AWS service, which means that customers are not required to manage any of the underlying infrastructure. And it has a target uptime SLA of 99.99%. So let me share something interesting. AWS learned a lot from running Amazon.com's massive retail operations. They've applied these lessons to achieve the same level of reliability in Amazon Connect. We are talking about the same infrastructure that handles millions of transactions during the events like Prime Day. Amazon Connect is fully redundant within each AWS region. For example, the Canada Central region operates with 3 availability zones to ensure high availability. I think what really sets this apart is that you don't need to manually configure most of these resilience features. They are inherent to the platform's architecture. When you compare this to the traditional on-prem contact centers where you would need to invest heavily in redundant hardware and maintain it yourself, the cloud approach not only provides better reliability, but also significantly reduces the operational burden on IT teams. In my experience, once organizations understand these architectural principles and see the platform's track record, those initial fears about the reliability tends to fade pretty quickly.
I love that comparison to the Prime Day infrastructure. It really grounds the scale of this resilience and shifts the conversation from can we stay up to just focusing on customer experience. Moving on to more of an operational perspective, for contact centers, having separate development and production environments is crucial for testing new features without impacting live customer interactions. For many customers, installing and maintaining 2 environments is prohibitively expensive. How does AWS make it easy for organizations to set up and manage these distinct dev and prod environments in a way that's both efficient and secure?
That's a common question that really hits on one of the game-changing aspects of cloud contact center, and is an issue that a lot of organizations face with their on-prem solutions. With Amazon Connect, creating separate development and production environment is remarkably straightforward and cost-effective. You can essentially spin up a complete dev instance in minutes, and you can pay for what you actually use. This is a dramatic shift from the traditional model where you would need to duplicate your entire hardware infrastructure. To promote the flows and queues from a lower environment to a higher environment, customers can leverage Amazon Connect's API or the application programming interface feature, which are designed to enable the programmatic control and integration with various aspects of the contact center. And these APIs allow for customization, automation, and enhanced functionality beyond the standard console interface. Here's a practical example. Let's say you are planning to implement a new IVR flow in your dev environment. You can just build and test it thoroughly, let your agents practice with it, and even run load tests all without touching your production setup. Once you are confident everything is working fine, you can then migrate these changes to the production in a controlled manner. Amazon Connect enables organizations to efficiently manage distinct development and production environments through the infrastructure as code capabilities, automating resource provisioning while ensuring the consistent configuration across environments. This contact center as a code approach leverages version control for change tracking, implements policy enforcement for governance, enables rapid disaster recovery through template-based deployments, and maintain the environment isolation while reducing the manual error and supporting scalable, secure contact center infrastructure management throughout the development lifecycle. Security-wise, AWS has built-in robust isolation between instances. Each environment gets its own unique access control, authentication settings, and resource permissions. That means your development team can experiment freely without any risk to the production data or the operations. What really makes this approach cost-effective is the pay-as-you-go model. Your dev environment can be scaled down when it's not in use and you are not paying for the idle capacity. Compare this to the traditional setup where you will need to maintain the full infrastructure regardless of the usage. I would say this flexibility and efficiency in managing separate environments is one of the key reasons organizations are increasingly moving to the cloud contact centers.
Yeah, that ability to quickly and cheaply create separate testing environments is a major win for efficiency. At Surf 7, we've built tools that use the AWS features you talked about to automate moving those changes from test to live, which makes the whole process even faster. Now we can talk about our other key subject, security. When a business is moving its contact center to the cloud, security is almost always a crucial consideration. What are the most common security asks you hear from customers, and how does AWS address those fundamental concerns right out of the gate?
Security is what we call job zero at AWS, and is the top priority when organizations consider moving their contact centers to the cloud. It's a topic I discuss frequently with customers. Before I get into the details, I would like to talk a little bit about AWS's shared responsibility model. As you see in this picture, AWS's responsibility is security of the cloud. This means that AWS is responsible for protecting the infrastructure that runs all the services in AWS cloud. The customer is responsible for security in the cloud, and it is determined by the AWS cloud service that the customer chooses, as that determines what amount of configuration work the customer must perform as part of their security responsibilities. Now let's talk about a few areas of focus with respect to security. Data protection is usually at the top of the list. Customers want to know their customer information and call recordings are safe. AWS tackled this with multiple layers of security. All data in Amazon Connect is encrypted both in transit and rest using industry-standard encryption protocols. Additionally, AWS provides fine-grained access control, allowing the organizations to determine exactly who can access what data. Another common ask is about compliance. Many industries such as healthcare, government, and financial organizations have strict regulatory requirements. You can check the global standards for Amazon Connect in our website, and we keep it updating. Identity and access management is another crucial area. Customers often ask how they can ensure only the authorized person can access their contact center system. AWS addresses this through integration with AWS's identity and access management, which allows for detailed user permissions and multi-factor authentication. You can even integrate with your existing identity provider for single sign-on capabilities. And finally, many customers are asked about the auditability and monitoring. AWS CloudTrail integrates with Connect to provide a comprehensive audit trail of all the actions taken within your contact center, helping with both security monitoring and compliance needs. So what's particularly powerful about AWS's approach is that these security features are built into the platform's foundation. You're not starting with a bare system and then trying to layer security on top. Instead, it is inherent in the design from the ground up.
That foundation where security is job zero and built in from day one is a huge confidence booster for any business. But you brought up compliance, and that leads us directly to a key issue here in Canada, data residency. How does AWS ensure that a contact center's data stays exactly where it's supposed to be and meets regulatory requirements?
So as I mentioned before, at the heart of the AWS infrastructure are availability zones, which are composed of physical data centers located in geographic regions. When a customer chooses a particular region for their Amazon Connect instance, all the Amazon Connect's instance data is stored and replicated in the availability zone within the region. In Canada, Amazon Connect is available in the CA Central region, which is the Greater Montreal area. This region has 3 availability zones, with each availability zone having 1 or more discrete data centers. When you set up Amazon Connect in this region, all your contact center data, including call recordings, chat transcripts, and customer information, stays within Canadian borders, aligning with the data sovereignty requirements. When setting up Amazon Connect instance, you can specify exactly where your data is stored and processed. And AWS provides guarantees that it won't be moved without your explicit permission. This includes not just primary data storage, but also the backup and the replication.
That's excellent. The regional choice gives customers the certainty they need for data residency. So now that we know the data is secure and physically located in the right place, let's talk about the content of that data. Contact centers handle a lot of sensitive information. How does AWS help contact centers automatically identify and handle that data? For example, how do you make sure that sensitive information is redacted from call recordings and transcripts so it's not exposed to agents or stored insecurely?
When it comes to handling the sensitive information in the contact center, AWS has developed some sophisticated tools, particularly through Amazon Connect's integration with AI and machine learning services. Connect's feature called the Contact Lens, it can automatically identify the sensitive information like the credit card numbers, social security number, or other personally identifiable or the PII information, as it's being spoken or typed and redacted it. Customers have the option to store either the redacted transcript or the original or both. After a call or chat ends, the Contact Lens, which is an artificial intelligence and machine learning capability, can analyze the transcript and automatically redact the sensitive information before it is stored. This creates a clean version of the interactions that can be safely accessed by agents or the supervisor for quality assurance purpose. There is also the storage aspect. Even when sensitive information needs to be retained for business purpose, AWS ensures it's encrypted and access control. You can set up the granular permission determining who can access and what level of information. So it's allowing supervisors to see full transcripts while limiting other staffs to redacted versions. And one often overlooked feature is the audit trail. The system maintains the detailed log of who accessed what information and when, which is crucial for compliance and security monitoring. This helps organizations to demonstrate their compliance with various privacy regulations and maintain the accountability.
That automatic redaction using Contact Lens is a massive step forward for data security and compliance, and it removes the responsibility away from the agent. Now, a key part of modern contact centers is enabling customers to authenticate themselves for self-service, whether that's for checking an order status or resetting a password. How does AWS help businesses securely verify the identity of an end customer and authenticate them for these self-service interactions?
Yeah, the identity and authentication are very important steps and need to be seamless for the great customer experience. Connect provides multiple authentication pathways, including its integration with Amazon Lex, which is a fully managed AI service that enables you to build the conversational interface into application using the voice and text, and also with other AWS services. One of the most powerful features is the ability to implement dynamic authentication flow. What's particularly clever is how this can be customized based on the level of security needed for different types of transactions. So a great example of this in action is a stepped authentication approach. A customer checking their order status might only need basic verification, while someone who wants to make a financial transaction would trigger additional security layers. Connect allows you to build this conditional flow seamlessly. The platform also integrates with existing identity providers and customer databases. This means you can leverage your existing authentication system while adding new security layer. For instance, you might combine a customer's phone number verification with a one-time password sent via the SMS, all orchestrated through the Connect's flow. What I find particularly innovative is the ability to maintain authentication context across the channels. If a customer starts in chat and needs to switch to the voice, their authentication status can persist, creating a smoother experience without compromising the security.
Grace, that was incredibly insightful. We've covered everything from resilience and operational agility to key topics like data resiliency and authentication.
Yeah, thanks for having me here today. It was a nice conversation.
Thanks so much for joining us. We work closely with Grace, so if you have any questions for us or the AWS team, you can reach out at any time. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.